My name is Steve Babitsky. I'm the president of SEAK. I'm here today with Jim Mangraviti, my partner at SEAK, and we're going to be talking about an important topic for expert witnesses, depositions. Jim, could you please talk about the core areas of depositions and what experts need to know in each of these core areas?
Sure. First of all, at a deposition, one of the intimidating things about a deposition, they can kind of ask you anything. But when we're preparing somebody for a deposition, we like to talk about the following 5 core areas. Number 1, qualifications. You need to be able to justify why you are qualified to give each and every opinion that you're giving in the case. Number 2, the lawyers are going to be fishing around and to try to probe as to bias, as to your biases, your potential biases. You need to be prepared for those questions. Money is going to be part of that. Number 3, not surprisingly, the lawyers are going to want to know what your opinions are and what your opinions are not. You got to be ready to rock and roll on that. Number 4, they want to know how you got to those opinions. That is your methodology. And if your methodology is not up to snuff, your whole opinion can get thrown out. That's what we talk about with Daubert and Rule 702, so you got to be careful with that. And finally, your opinion is only as good as the facts and the investigation upon which it is based. So if you're going to be deposed, you will be asked about the facts, the assumptions, everything that you are basing your opinion on. So those are 5 things that I would say, Stephen, you're really going to be prepared to answer in any deposition. And of course, it's more complicated than that, but those are the 5 that I would focus on.
Can we try now to demonstrate some of those topics?
Sure, have a seat. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to demonstrate the 5 areas of inquiry that we just talked about. And the first area that we're going to talk about is qualifications. And you as an expert witness need to be prepared to answer why you're qualified. And the way that Steve and I teach people is we try to teach them to think in bullet points. Think about your answer on an index card with bullet points so you can really spell out the specific things that make you qualified. So Steve, this case involves workers' compensation, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Can you please tell me all of the reasons why you feel you're qualified to give an opinion in this case involving workers' compensation?
Well, first, I was a workers' compensation attorney for 20 years. Secondly, I wrote a national newsletter on workers' compensation, which is distributed across the country. I've taught workers' compensation nationally for physicians, attorneys, etc., throughout the United States. I also have taught related areas like IME exams and other areas. And I have testified as an expert witness in a significant case involving the constitutionality of the Texas Workers' Compensation Act. So those are just some of the reasons why I'm qualified in this case.
Okay, excellent. Excellent answer. Again, he was ready to go. So that's why you are qualified is an easy question under 2 circumstances, and these are the things that you need to watch out for. Okay, number 1, you need to be qualified. And number 2, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared to spit those things out, okay, which I think he did an excellent job at. Now, another thing that we like to tell experts is that one of the reasons you want to put your qualifications in your report, besides for it being a good idea, it can be a nice cheat sheet if you forget something. You can refer to your report. So excellent answer. Now we're going to talk about biases. And as I talked about before, with biases, one of the common questions you're going to get in almost every deposition is about the money. Okay, so Mr. Babitsky, how much are you being paid for your time involved in this case?
$500 an hour.
Okay, and what percentage of your income, traditionally, the last year, the last 2 years, comes from expert witness work, forensic work?
It's approximately 40% of my income.
Okay, 2 excellent answers. Why were they excellent? Because A, he knew the answers, and he wasn't defensive or evasive. Excellent. So simple questions. Now let's talk about opinions, all right? Now, Mr. Babitsky, you wrote a report in this case, is that right?
I did.
Does that report contain all of the opinions that you will be offering at trial in this case?
It contains opinions that I will be offering at trial. It's not all the opinions for several reasons. Number 1, I continue to work on the case. Number 2, additional information is coming in, which I may have another opinion on. And number 3, it will depend on the question you ask me. If you ask me different questions, I might have new opinions.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. You're working for Attorney Gosios back there?
Yes.
If you do additional work in this case and form additional opinions that you intend to give at trial, would you agree that you're going to tell Attorney Gosios so she can tell me?
Yes.
Okay. That's basically what you're going to get. You're going to get all kinds of other questions about opinions. Now about methodology. Methodology is a big deal for a couple of reasons. Number 1, if your methodology is no good, the trial judge, acting as a gatekeeper under Daubert, under Rule 702, under Fry, can throw your testimony out, which does not look good on a resume. Even if the judge doesn't throw you out, having a lousy methodology is not going to help your credibility with the jury. Okay? Now, as I understand it, you're an appraiser, Mr. Babitsky, is that right?
I am.
And you used a comparable sales methodology to come up with valuation in this case, is that right?
Correct.
Can you please tell me all of the reasons why you feel that that is a reliable methodology?
Well, the main reasons are as follows. Number one, by the way, number one, I did a site visit. And number two, the comparables are the best guide of what the price of the property is. What I did is I searched out comparable sales. I found 6 properties very, very similar to the property in question. I researched the differences. I did site visits. I looked at the sales price. I looked at the differences. I made adjustments. And based upon that methodology, I came up with the valuation in this case.
And is comparable sales a methodology that's generally accepted in the field of appraisal?
It is.
And can you explain to me, give me examples of that or explain further on that?
Sure. Comparable sales is the standard by which most appraisers utilize in making these appraisals. And it's one of the various methods, one of the ways to come up with the valuation in a case like this.
Okay. And you're going to be asked about your methodology. They don't want to just know what your answer is, but they want to know how you got there. And again, it could be to either throw out your testimony later or just to beat you up. So you need to be able to rock and roll and to explain not just where you got, what your opinion is, but how you got there and to justify that that was a reliable methodology that you used. Finally, let's talk about assumptions, okay? Or facts and bases, similar type thing, because you got garbage in, you got garbage out. Now, as I understand it, Mr. Babitsky, your opinion is based in part on the testimony of Mr. Baldwin, is that right?
Yes.
And you reviewed Mr. Baldwin's deposition, did you not?
I did.
All 125 pages, is that right?
I did.
All right. Now let's assume that Mr. Baldwin was lying in his deposition. Wouldn't that change your opinion?
It would depend specifically on what he lied about. So for example, this is an auto accident case. If he lied, and instead of saying he was 64 years old, he in fact was 65 years old, that wouldn't change my opinion. So it would depend specifically on what he lied about.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. He's giving ground, but he's also not giving me too much. When I say, would that change your opinion? Saying, hey, it depends. And fair enough, it depends upon what Mr. Baldwin might be lying about. Thank you.
Jim, how does SEAK help expert witnesses excel at their depositions?
Thanks, Steve. SEAK is the expert witness training company. This is what we do, and we have a number of resources. If you go to testifyingtraining.com, you click on free resources. There's a number of things and items that experts can download on there. We also have a number of books that we've published, which are available on our website that are very helpful to experts. We conduct training seminars at various places in the country and at various times over the course of the year. And then finally, you, myself, Attorney Donovan, we work one-on-one with expert witnesses to prepare them for their depositions and to help train them to be a better expert witness at deposition. So again, we're the expert witness training company and we're here to help.